Welcome back to House Guest with me, Hailey Lowe Fennell. I'm a psychic medium, and this is the podcast that connects you to the other side. Today, we are with the Works instructor and leader, Susan Lake. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
I'm so excited too. Let's see. I have given you a mini reading before. I
Mhm.
know that just popped into my head. Hold on, because someone's kind of coming forward. Oh, that's funny. Okay, hold on.
All right.
Um, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Um, oh, okay. Hold on. Sorry. That's a little strange. Oh, okay. Hold on. I have so many questions for you all of a sudden, but they are going to have to wait. I've given you a mini reading before when we did it at Soul Space downtown, which is
Mhm.
another spot that I love. And then you were at the group reading because you orchestrated the huge group reading for the Works community that I did for Off the Mat. And
Yes.
thank you for coming to that. That was like a dream come true for me because I had reached out to, I think I'd talked to Tracy like so briefly about it, right?
Mhm.
Maybe it was like right when I started the podcast too. Um, and then I'd kind of forgotten about it. And I just love how it came back full circle at the right time in the right moment. And it was one of those moments where I was sitting, like, kind of walking into those readings. I was like, oh my gosh, this is like something that I had envisioned in my head that was coming to fruition. And those moments can feel so surreal. Uh, and then so, I don't know, there's something so, I'm trying to think of the right words for it. I know I'm kind of fumbling a lot right now. One of those moments where I'm like, oh, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. Like
Yes.
things are meeting up.
Yep.
And it wasn't, oh yeah, okay, fine. I'm going to be, one of my guides just popped in. I'm sorry. I swear we're going to start your reading in a second.
I love it. I love that there's some eagerness there, some excitement.
Yeah. Um, I think with the reading for the Works, I'd like kind of reached out and I was like, ooh, like I'm gonna get this thing going. And like sometimes when you want something to happen for work or life or whatever, and you're like, I'm gonna put it out in the universe and it's going to meet me right away, like that. And I don't think it met me right away, but I was okay with it. And then it took about a year for it to come back around. But when it did, it was so much more meaningful and so much more at the right time. Like I was so much more ready for a big group reading back in October than I would have been a year before that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I must say that was one of our best sessions. It was so dope. Everyone loved it so much. And I thought it was a really cool way to for people to observe mediumship without having to maybe necessarily do it. So I thought it
Yeah.
was really awesome.
Yeah. And I'm like, it pushed me to really think bigger too. And so there's like going to be a lot more opportunities in 2025 for group readings like that. So everybody can go to my website and check that out. And thank you, The Works, for like just always being, The Works was the nudge for me to start the podcast, the nudge for me to make this thing bigger than how I was currently doing it. And then that session was the nudge to be like, oh yeah, I want this. I want to do more big group readings. So thank you for inviting me to do that. And thank you for being here today so that I can give you a reading.
Absolutely. I'm super pumped.
Okay, me too. All right, so what I'm going to do, this is going to sound familiar, but I'm going to close my eyes. And you can close your eyes too if you want. It's just going to be for a little bit, but you can also leave them open if it makes you feel more comfortable. And just start taking a few really good deep breaths. And just start to imagine a bridge directly between the two of us. And it's a really strong, sturdy, stable bridge. And imagine that instead of walking across that bridge, it just becomes shorter and shorter, and we become closer and closer. Imagine our souls meeting and starting to communicate. Imagine your guides, anyone who guides you in this lifetime, stepping forward and coming closer and closer, knowing that they see, hear, and know everything that's happening in your life right now. And then imagine anyone you know who has passed away and is on the other side coming forward. Imagine that they too see, hear, and know everything that's happening in your life right now. Imagine that they have the messages that are loving and supportive for you here today to help you move forward in life, to help you feel good. Imagine that they love and see you. Then take a big deep breath and imagine that bridge getting so small and so short that it completely disappears between us. And you can open your eyes. Okay, oh, lovely, good. I was giving a reading to someone yesterday and they were asking a little bit about how this works and like if I feel the energy all the time. And my answer in the moment was like, well, I used to, but then starting to do this, I don't as much because I kind of like siphon out time for it
Yeah.
to happen. But occasionally I do get, like, despite my best efforts, people that come in before a reading or while I'm talking, or even in that visualization for the most part. And it doesn't mean anything if they come before or not. It's just, I don't know, like it doesn't mean anything about the reading necessarily. Usually during that visualization, I'm kind of just concentrating on the visualization too. And then sometimes I get a little lost in it because people are already coming in. And while you and I were talking, they were coming in before I even got into the visualization.
Mm-hmm.
And then in that visualization, I got a little lost in my words. It's like feeling and imagining and having something come in at the same time as trying to talk.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a point to what I'm saying, though, I promise. The person that comes in kind of starts to play with my head in that way. Like they get like a little, if like serene is how I want to first describe them. That's how they feel on the other side is
Mm-hmm.
serene. Like, hey, I'm good. I'm okay. All is well. And I need to let you know that. And then they say, and then in life, I want to let you know that I would have felt a little bit like Hailey in those moments where a little bit like too much is going on all at once. And he's kind of
Yeah.
referencing like what I would have, how I would have felt before I started doing what I'm doing. He's also, I know this is like a little bit of a different way to start, but he's also referencing like having I believe that everybody has the same ability that I have, but he's kind of more attuned to it. He's like he
Mm-hmm.
can see now that he's on the other side, he would have been more attuned to this sort of ability without quite knowing it. And he
Yeah.
calls himself a sensitive soul. And he goes like this to me, like he gets really close to your heart. And he's like, Susan and I, like really close. And I think he wants to call you, second I said Susan, he wants to call you a little bit of a nickname. My reference for a nickname for Susan is Susie because I
Yeah.
have Susies in my life.
Yeah.
And it's like the way he says it, it's like the sweetest Susie I could say, like, oh, just
Yeah.
like, I love you, I love you, I love you. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. Yeah.
And he kind of goes like this over my forehead. That's usually my sign symbol for I got a little messed up in here. I got a little confused. I got a little foggy.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't quite connect. When we talk about like movement, especially at the works, right? And by we, I mean you. When you talk about movement at the works, it's like, or yeah, lovely. We're kind of talking about like that connection between like the body and the mind, right? Like
Yeah.
connecting back in through movement. He goes disconnect. Like I just was disconnected for a little bit there. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. He also brings up Valentine's Day. Does that make sense to you?
Um, I mean, not on like a particular memory or date or any nothing like that.
That's
Um,
okay. Just keep it in mind. I know that sounds
yeah.
kind of funny. And this is going to sound even more funny because I know that they're different dates. And I'm not going to look it up right now because it will throw me. I know V Day means something very, very different than Valentine's Day. But
Hmm.
just as I usually don't get dates, to be honest, a lot of psychic mediums are
Yeah.
very, very good at that. But I'm going to give you those two dates, February 14th. And I don't know what day V Day is on, but also take that as a date as well.
Okay. My birthday is February 11th, so that
Oh,
time is
okay.
kind of
Nice.
significant, if you will. I don't know.
Special. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay. Okay. All right. Hold on. Lovely. Good. There he goes. That's fine. I'm going to say that out loud. Sometimes people are listening to the podcast, wondering what's going on, because they're doing something similar. Okay. Lovely. Good. Hold on. Okay. He kind of says that he's like, lovely. Good. That's like a cutoff point. Like, good. You got the information out that I want you to get out. Like, you are welcome to move on to the next piece of information. Okay. All right. Lovely. And it's like how he's making me feel. I'm like, oh, okay, good, settled. I'm just going to be quiet for a little bit. Okay. And he says, I'm sorry for leaving you like that, is how he puts it. It gives me a sense of, there's two different things going on. It's a bit of a sense of like I wasn't well when I passed away.
Hmm.
And it feels as though he's responsible for his taking his own life. Does that make sense to you?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And so it's like I'm sorry for leaving you. Like he opens up the heart space, and I'm sorry to hear that too. But he opens up the heart space, and then he points to his mind like a little bit more of things just weren't exactly where I wanted them to be.
Yeah.
But I'm okay now. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. All right, hold on. Okay. Okay, fine. I am going to get to that. He says, okay, does the name Athena mean anything to you?
Stop. Yes.
Okay. And he did that like dog message for me. He holds her to her chest. Okay, fine. I'm gonna say that. I'm like, ooh, did I know Athena? Like, did I know that she had a dog named Athena? Maybe I might have, but he just like pops it into my head and says, right here. Like that's why had just asked him, hey, why are you coming forward today? He's like, well, I'm coming forward because this is what's coming forward. Pet is coming
Yep.
forward, and brings it like, not that he has hurt feelings about this, but brings her like even closer to your heart. Does that make sense?
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
wild. That's wild. That's
Are
really
you
wild.
okay if I connect in even more with her?
Yeah.
Okay. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Oh, lovely. Okay. He wants me to say this. He says, isn't Hailey funny? That's fine. Isn't Hailey funny? She's not really the first to pick up on animals on the other side, and I'm not. It's there are some psychic mediums that specialize in that. And if anyone's looking for a pet psychic medium, Andrea Saint Amand is usually the first one I recommend, but you're welcome to reach out. I have a few more. Okay, good, good, good. But they do sometimes come for me. Ah, lovely. Good, good, good. And then this part's going to sound funny because what they do is they start talking like humans. It's only because when we're connecting to the other side, what we're doing is connecting through a feeling. It's like a feeling that comes in. I'm the one that's putting words to it. So animals
Mhm.
can give us feelings and then we get to put words to it. And she's
Yeah.
like, I feel really good, good, good here on the other side. Oh, lovely, good. And she goes, all is okay and you made the right decision. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I mean, she wasn't, it's funny because she wasn't my dog, but she was my good friend's dog that I took care of all the time. And she's the reason that I have my dog, Loki, today.
Oh,
So I didn't really have any decision in her, the end of life or anything. I actually don't even know where she ended up, which like breaks my heart too, but she's
that's
the reason that I
okay.
have Loki and, obviously going through tons of stuff with Loki right now. So it's like, that's just
Yeah.
wild. That's
You
wild.
know who I know of Loki? That's who I know of is
Yeah.
Loki. Okay. That's okay. What I'm going to do, because she goes, you made the right decision. And I just asked her, I was like, ooh, are we talking about like a message that's more for a friend than is for Susan? She goes, no. A feeling of, no, you got to tell Susan that she made the right decision. Okay, fine. And it's okay that you don't, lovely, fine. And it's okay that you don't know where she is, right? Like it's okay that you don't know how the end of life was. She goes, there's good, good, good reasons for that, and it's all good. This actually might be more of a decision around Loki. Like you made
Yeah.
the right decision. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, we've had lots of different decisions to make. The big one hasn't come or anything like that, but
Yeah.
maybe that's a sign that I will make the right decision when it's time.
Yeah, and that I think, and just to make sure that feels clear, and that you have already, like so far, like
Yeah.
all the decisions that you've made so far. She's like, you've made the right decision. Because she comes forward. Okay, lovely. Oh, all right. Hold on. I'm gonna get. Hold on. She's gonna come a little bit closer. Oh, okay. Hold on, lovely. Hold on. There's like a lot going on. It's all good things. I'm just. It's like the most wonderful feeling that I'm just trying to hold on to. Oh, okay, fine. All right, fine. I'm gonna start there. Okay, so she's like, look, I'm with Loki. Like, she's like, I want to let you know that like I'm with Loki. She's also with you, of course, right? And she can also be with friend as well. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Oh, with friend, lovely, good. Okay. Okay, hold on. Okay, I'm gonna be brave enough to say this. She goes, and then she's talking about you. And I know this is funny to get this from a pet, but it just is. I mean, sometimes they're the perfect people to get it from because they come so much more like uncomplicated than sometimes people can.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's easier to even like trust a pet's love for us, right? Than it is for us to
Yeah.
trust a human's love. I say that with the knowing, and I know that you know this too, that trusting someone's love takes a lot of bravery, right? So it's like
Mhm.
we have to be brave enough to be loved and we have to be brave enough to love because through life, we know that the outcome sometimes leads to heartbreak. And I think I have a friend coming through that starts to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah.
And it's just like a thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, Susan, for being that kind of person that loves so easily. Does that make sense to you?
Mhm.
It's a gift. Like it really, really is a gift. And it shows so many other people how to do that exact same thing. But then Athena comes in and she says, through that and with that, there's a lot of doors that are opening like right now for Susan. And she starts talking about creativity. She goes, creativity, creativity, creativity. And she goes, that is our connection to the other side. And this is going to be a really funny reference. And I have to give like a thank you to Victoria Winter because she led me to this book called The Other Side. And it's a
Mhm.
book about women artists in history that have connected in spiritually to create their artwork. And I should get the author of that book, I'll post it. But Athena brings that into my mind's eye. And so this is what happens in mediumship is I'm connecting in with someone or a pet and then they start talking about a reference that I know about and then they want me to talk about that reference and relate it to you. And so I'm not saying that you have to read this book, but I am saying that there's a huge connection between the things that are coming up for you being creative and connecting in the way that you prefer to connect in spiritually. Does that make sense to you?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
she starts to call you an artist. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. It's hard for
Okay.
me to not just think about like me painting, which obviously isn't. I feel like I need to get a different visual of what creativity means because it for me I'm like painting and drawing and I can't do any of that. So I need to like hone in on what creativity means and maybe this field that I'm kind of interested in
Yeah.
with like
And
animals and stuff.
it's perfect. And I'm with you. Like sometimes oh, fine, I'm gonna explain that. Sometimes when I'm sitting with someone, I'm connecting in with like I've connected in with a few painters and visual artists in the past. This book talks about like musicians and it also talks about like psychics and there's so many other avenues to think about that, right? Like jewelry makers and stuff like that. Okay, lovely. Hold on.
Mhm.
But what I'm going to do is close my eyes. Hold on. Because that feels so lovely. Writers, of course. I'm going to add those to the list. Yeah. Writers, of course. And I think they're talking about you writing. Like that is one of her like creative outlets. That's one of her ways in which ways in which she can start to show her voice in a different way in the world. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I'm not much of a writer. I'm
That's
not much
okay.
for, oh, yeah, but I mean, never hurts to try.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you this question, and the no is always okay. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to sink into what I feel. Okay, lovely. Okay, hold on. Okay, do you understand? I know I get the reference to this with Instagram, right? There's like pictures, like little square pictures with words underneath it, like
Mhm.
little descriptions. But I was like, ooh, that's so interesting that she's saying no to writing because I thought I felt it so strongly.
Mhm.
And I'm just saying this for anyone that's like, what's going on there? So I went back into it. I was like, okay, well, then what is it? If it's not writing, then what is it? They won't quite let me let it go. So definitely Write that down for yourself. Like, okay,
Writing.
what is it with writing and creativity that Hailey is talking about? And then they kind of do make it, it feels like I see a picture and then not quite like Instagram, because I can understand most Instagram has like a shorter description underneath the picture. This feels kind of like lengthy and long, something more like if I were to open up a textbook, I see, or even like a cool coffee book or something, I see a picture with some like inspirational words
Yeah.
near it. And that's okay if that doesn't quite make sense right now. I can even hear it in my voice a little bit like, like I know I haven't like quite connected it into the right spot, but I'm okay with that just being as close as it can get right now. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I actually have like a little book diary thing that I bought, being like, I'm gonna write inspirational quotes down in, so maybe I can start there. I wrote one down like 3 months ago, so
I love it.
maybe
How
I
did it
can do
feel
that.
when you did that? Like,
So,
did you feel, I'm going to wait, what? Say it.
I think I don't really remember. I think I was just trying to get something down. I liked writing in it though. It felt like cool to be in my because it's
I
like a cute
like
little
that.
journal. So
That's cool. As long as you liked it and it like felt like, even if it was like, okay, this is just for fun.
yeah.
Even if it felt silly or like whatever, this is just like something light.
Hmm.
Um, okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just close my eyes again. All right, lovely, lovely, lovely. Okay. Okay, lovely. All right, good. All right, good, good, good. It's a little bit like some guides just stepped into to help get me back on track, like your guides. Lovely. Just saying yes, yes, yes. Yes to like the little writings of things, and then don't be surprised, or try not to stop yourself short if it starts to get long.
Okay.
Like a little bit, we would call it automatic writing in psychic mediumship, and I know other people would call it that too. But it's a little bit like when we just write without any inhibition and without any judgment of ourselves, and it just goes and goes and goes, and like the sentences don't make sense. There's words repeating, like whatever it is that needs to come out comes out. And I think you might be surprised that there's a lot of like spiritual connection in your writing.
Okay. Open to it.
Yeah, that also leads. Okay, I'm gonna write that part down. That also leads into some future things that could come up. There we go. Okay, it feels important for a career, and I'll just leave that part like that. Does that sound good?
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Do you have any questions? Okay, fine. I'm gonna say that. Hold on. I have like the mail that comes back.
Hmm.
Lovely. Good. 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 Okay, fine. I'll say that. I know who Tyler is on the other side. Like when I say the name Tyler, like I know that that's not your person, but I do get a connection there. And I just want to say that, like, sometimes they'll remind me of people that I've connected in with in the past.
Hmm.
And your male friend comes forward and says, like, look who I'm with. And it's for similar reasons,
Yeah.
that they're on the other side too. And I just want to let you know that. And then he just says, I love you. Like, I love you. I love you. I love you. And he also says, and you're free to like let go a little bit more. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions for him or for Athena?
Well, his birthday was 2 days ago.
Oh,
So
happy
just
birthday.
happy birthday, love for sure. And it's interesting because when I was looking at a photo of him, I got that sense of just like being settled and like warm. And so when you were talking about that, it all kind of all made sense. So,
Yeah.
but his he died on December 31st. Oh God, I'd have to think about it. I think 7 or 8 years ago. So December is kind of a crazy month. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Do you feel like December is a heavy month, or do you feel like it's just a lot?
Heavy moments.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's
Yeah.
less and less heavy each year, but I mean, certainly every year on the 31st, I don't feel like going out and celebrating. I'm
Yeah.
like, I'd rather stay in and celebrate my own way or just do something, to honor him in some way or, it's hard for me to celebrate that day.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
understand that, and it would feel better to do something your own way. I ask that because I think there's going to be so many people. This will air likely after it's early December right now for everyone listening, but it would probably have already aired. So if anyone had a hard December or has one of those months, right, that just like feels super, super heavy, one of the ways that helps me is to move, right, to like get in the room at the works or a few of the other places that I go to and make sure that I'm doing something for myself. But then also what you're saying, I'm like, shoot, there are just some days where I'm going to stay in and I don't want to celebrate and I'm going to let myself feel that for the day. And I might do something like in that day to make myself feel like a little bit better. That's a healthy thing. Like I'm going to order in lunch because I don't want to cook. Something like that. But is there anything that you do when you find that you're kind of like in a sticky or a hard moment that feels helpful?
Definitely moving and really just, I mean, spending time with animals is always
Yeah.
helpful for me. My own animals, the animals at the shelter. That's kind of where I go to. And then, of course, like snacking and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
that's not always the greatest thing, depending. So, um, but yeah, usually movement, trying to get in there. And honestly, like teaching just helps a lot too. Even though I'm not like physically moving, just creating that movement and being in the room with everyone, like experiencing the vibes, if you will, is you always feel better after teaching. I can't really explain it, but that
Yeah.
helps. It's I
Yeah.
have a good job. I have a good job for stress management.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. You do. And like so if anybody needs to just go to a works class with Susan, we'll at the end of this we'll kind of list out how to find you. What else did I want to hold on? There was something that just like popped up in the middle of that I was thinking. Oh yeah, okay. I do get okay, fine. I'm gonna go in that direction. I do get asked this a lot. Hold on. I might have I want to make sure that this comes across as clearly as I can make it. Okay, I do want to say this. We're here for a reason, right? Right? Like sometimes I connect in with people who are responsible for their end of life. What they have to say from the other side is always something around this. I mean, they have more to say than just this, of course, but it's always something around this. Hey, like you're here for a reason. They wish they were still here, of course, and that we all do have true purpose in life, and likely more than just one, right? Like it evolves and grows. And in general, it's much more about what we want from life than us looking outside of ourselves and searching for like, hey, like guides, people on the other side, can you please, 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 okay, hold on, lovely, good. Can you please, please, please tell me what it is that I'm supposed to do with my life? And it's more like they turn back on us and say, oh, you tell me and I'll help you.
Right.
So he's there on the other side saying that, of course. And then it's also a reminder to anybody listening that is currently going through a hard time or have been through hard times before or know that they're coming, right? Because life ebbs and flows. You're meant to be here. Like you're meant to work through this challenge and get to the other side of it here in life and just to keep going. And there's a lot of resources on my website to help with that. And please reach out if you have any questions about that. I'm happy to answer it. And then move, like try that just as one example. Get yourself book yourself a class wherever you are. If you're here in Charleston, of course we recommend the works. If you're not, we can help you find a virtual one maybe, or go to that class that your friend keeps mentioning. It's definitely worth a try. I always say it's really hard to come back from a walk without just like a little bit of clarity.
Mhm.
And so that's just one small example. Does that make sense? Is there anything you want to add to that?
I think you said it perfectly.
Okay.
Love all of it.
And thank you. Thank you for like sharing that and telling us about it. I also, do you have any questions for Athena?
Um, no, but I guess just ask her to watch over Loki and
Yeah.
guide her in when it's time. But I think we have a lot of
Oh,
time.
yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will. And she's there. There's something really cool that does happen on the other side. They no longer have a physical body. So, as much as she's here with us, she's also like in whatever room Loki's in right now.
Hmm.
And with like all of the other people that loved her as well, that she loved. And that goes for people too. So she's like, I'm
Yeah.
here, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here.
I love it.
Okay, lovely, good. Okay, hold on. And then I'm going to look at my notes because there were some things that I wrote down. Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. Okay, so Victoria Winter, who suggested this book, I'm a slow reader, so I have not finished it. It just takes me a minute to get through books. I tend to read multiple books at once. Uh, but one of my signs and symbols for, hey, am I on the right path? And of course, I'm the only one that can tell me if I'm on the right path or not. But sometimes it's really nice to hear it from our guides on the other side as well. One of my signs and symbols for am I on the right path is hearing or seeing the words the other side. So when Victoria sent me that book, I was in the middle of a moment of not having like the best day ever, right? And I can get in these like whirlwinds in my own mind where I'm like, am I doing the right thing? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing with my life? I'm just like the rest of us, right? And she just texted me that book. And it was such a beautiful sign for, okay, I'm like on the right path and I'm going in the right direction. And I say that because it came up in the reading. Like I so clearly saw that book in my mind. And it so vividly came up that it's now my sign in a reading for you to say, hey, you're on the right path, you're doing the right things. The things that you're thinking about are and that you want are the direction that you're meant to take. And I could easily say that to anybody that's listening, right? And
Yeah.
you could also hear it for yourself. And there's a reason that you can hear it for yourself. And it's because you're just as connected as I am. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Do you have any questions around that?
I guess kind of the last time we did a reading, my grandmother came through and gave me the advice of instead of like two steps forward, one step back, it was like two steps forward, one giant leap forward,
I
and
love
like in the
that.
direction that I've gone. And so I'm just wondering, like, is that still true? And should it be like something in the near future, or is it something like in the future? I don't know if that makes
Ooh.
sense.
I love that. Okay, so sometimes I'll start to get answers like while someone's talking. So I'm gonna try to give it to you as quickly as I can before it evaporates. You go, ooh, two steps forward, one giant leap forward. I felt that all of a sudden, and then what I heard in my mind's eye was, that's her pattern, that's her pattern, that's her pattern. So that's like a life pattern for you is and it's when you get on to something. Does that make sense? Like
Yeah.
when your interest peaks like that, all of a sudden you'll feel an urge to be like, ooh, is that what I'm interested in? That's what I'm interested in. That's what I'm doing. And like those are the
Yeah.
two steps forward, one huge leap. And it's a little bit like we got to go for it, go for it, go for it. And
Yeah.
when you do that, or when you've done that in the past, have you noticed that it works out quite well?
It does. I think
Okay.
so. I don't do it often. That's the thing.
Yeah, because it feels like pretty big life things.
Hmm.
So that's okay. It would only be when you truly feel the urge to do it,
Yeah.
but to trust like that at this point in your life, you've done it enough times that we can trust it. That's a part of your unique intuition. Everybody has a different pattern to life. Some people's pattern might be two steps forward, one step back, and that one step back might be like a really good step back because it provides a bigger view.
Yeah.
That's just as one example. Your pattern is two steps forward, and then it feels like a pause. Two steps forward, pause, one giant leap.
Yeah.
And I can't say like, oh, of course it's always going to work out. Because we're human, but there's always going to be a reason why that leap is necessary. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We could start to hesitate when we're taking that leap. And I'm kind of saying we now because I'm like, oh, there's like different moments where different people are going to want to take a leap, whether that's their pattern or not. We could either hesitate or we could trust enough in our intuition to do it, right? We could also pause for longer. We could pause for forever and always wonder what it would have been like if we had decided to take that leap.
Yeah.
Or we could go ahead and take that leap and get the knowing and the knowledge that we need from it to then redirect ourselves from there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll sit with people and they've found themselves kind of at this pivot point and they don't know which way to turn. Your guides kind of come in and they're like, Susan's really good at going forward. Like you just are. Like you're
Mhm.
really good at being like, you know what? There's nothing in the past for me. I'm just going to keep going forward. There's some people that I sit with that and maybe need to go back in the past mentally a little bit to then get that momentum to go forward again. But your guides say, ooh, look at Susan. She's really good at going forward. It's because you're so open and loving. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Hold on. I'm going to close my eyes for a second. Okay. I like that. I'm going to leave it at this. They're like leap, 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 leap. Feels really good. It's a little bit like when I say that word, like everybody on the other side starts cheering for you.
Hmm.
Can you feel yourself cheering for yourself when you imagine yourself making that leap?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect. Love it. Good, good, good. Do you have any other questions?
Nope. I think I'm all good.
Will you tell everybody where to find you, where to take your classes, and how to follow the works?
Yes. So the works Instagram is at the works CHS. My Instagram is at Susan underscore Lake. We've got 5 different studios at the works with cycling and yoga and hit style and yin and so many different class styles. So definitely check us out. And then one other shout out, if you don't mind me doing, I volunteer at animal shelters, and I think everyone should do that, and everyone should try to adopt or just donate, foster, whatever you can do. That's a big passion of mine. So,
Oh, I love that. You know, I had this I was giving it this same reading that I think came up earlier, a reading yesterday. And I, at one point in my life, was going through like a really, really hard time. And I'd written out this like really simple list of like just things, like I'd forgotten things to do that make me feel good. And one of the things, and it was so, so simple, and it's kind of a little embarrassing to say, but it was like pet my dog. Like I had to write
mhm.
that down at some point in my life just to remember to do it, to remember that that's something that made me feel good.
Yeah.
But there's really something to that, to being around animals. But I honestly think it's because they love so unconditionally and their love is so unencumbered by personalities of people.
Yeah. And you know, they're
um,
the source
yeah.
really
Yeah.
connected in.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. Sometimes I take my kids to either the Charleston Humane Society downtown or Pet
Mhm.
Helpers, which is over here on James Island, to pet the cats. It
Yes.
just helps
Yeah.
sometimes.
Absolutely.
So I love that. And we'll put that
Yeah.
in the notes too. Thank you so much, Susan.
Yeah. Of course. Thank you. I hope you have a good day.
Thanks.